China has some pretty strict immigration laws, and you'll never become Chinese. Yes, sirree. I'm not freaking blind, guys. It's Gweilo style. I think it's Thursday. You could die.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch. Geez, you know. Oh yeah, because it goes on and on and on. For all you haters, there's something to chew on for the next couple of... Welcome back to the Gweilo 60 channel. It's true. You'll never become Chinese if you weren't born here. You can get a PR card, permanent resident card, if you live here long enough, maybe 5 years, and you've been working here, and probably have a wife and children, and whatever. There's a lot of loopholes to jump through, but you can get a resident permit if you say you're married to a Chinese lady and you're retired, and sort of like I was. Well, I wasn't really married to I was married to a Chinese lady, but she was a Canadian citizen, but we have family ties. So you get resident permits, or you're married to a Chinese citizen, you get a resident permit. You want to work here, you can get a work permit. You can start a wholly foreign-owned corporation and get a resident permit to work and work your company and whatever. But you'll never actually become a Chinese citizen. The immigration laws are strict, and there's reasons for that. You know, one of the reasons is they've got 1.4 billion people here. 1.4 billion people. But another reason is that they are very forward-thinking here in China, and you know, how does it go? Like, they educate their children well. They teach them from a young age that education is super important. Not only do they teach them here in grade, middle, high school, university in China, but they promote them to go abroad to university in the United States and the UK and Canada, places like that, so they can learn the language. They can learn the customs. They can learn different curriculums in different universities, and they can bring that knowledge back to China, because the Chinese government knows that they don't want to live in a bubble. They want to make partners around the world, and if they don't understand those partners around the world, well, then it's difficult. They don't believe in bringing in a bunch of refugees into the country. No, diversifying the population, or changing it from basically 99.9% Chinese to something else, like Canada, like the United States and UK and Australia, and places that have a lower population. They don't push education as much. So they have a bunch of jobs, positions that they have to fill, and they don't have the people to fill them. In Canada, one of the biggest things is the healthcare sector, and they don't have enough nurses. They don't have enough doctors. So they pull doctors from South Africa, but they pull nurses from the Philippines. They pull engineers from China, and they pull IT techie guys from India. You know, so they've got these niches in Canada, where you go into a community like Surrey, BC, which is basically all Indian. You know, from India, not North American India, and East India. You get into places in Toronto where it's you've got black communities from Africa, you've got Indian communities, you've got Chinese communities, you've got communities from all over the world, and they're a community into themselves where they speak the language. Sort of like Vancouver. You get into Richmond. Wei Fong's brother worked for 12 years in Richmond, BC, and he doesn't know two English. Well, no, he can say yes and no, and that's basically it. So they don't integrate into society. They create their own societies inside your country, and China doesn't want that. China wants China to be China, and it seems to be working for them, because without immigration, without letting in a whole bunch of refugees, they've been able to build the country of the future. They've been able to build high-speed rails. They've been able to do the roads and the airports and the hospitals and the educational institutions, the universities. They've been able to become purchasing power parity, the richest country in the world, without having refugees and immigrating people in to help them. Forward thinking, well, you know, and without the refugee thing, you don't have those communities and the crime and the cost. It's sort of like Poland in a way. They don't allow refugees, and they have never had a terrorist attack in Poland. They aren't embarrassed about it, and the Chinese aren't embarrassed about it either. They are not wanting to be politically correct to please whoever leftist woke community around the world that other people want to please. They don't want to ruin their own world, their own demographic world, for the benefit of people from other countries. If your country is a shithole country, like Trump says, well, change it. Work hard in your own country to change it into something better. Don't come and bring all of your worries and woes to a different country. And China has basically said that to the world on the world stage over and over and over again, and it really does work for China. You know, look around me. Like, seriously, guys, this is the place of the future. It has been for 15 years. 30 years ago, let's go back 21 years ago, when I first landed in China, there was very few high-rises in Nanning City. It was 3.2 million people. In 21 years, it's tripled in size. The people here, oh, and it's the safest community, the safest country that I've ever lived in or been to in my life. Seriously, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So not only do you have a thriving economy, not only do you have an educated population, not only do you have a safe country where your children can walk down the street at 10 o'clock in the night and not have to worry about anything, not only do you have all of this, but you have the infrastructure. Like, seriously, my God, guys, you have the infrastructure, and no, just like my last video, this is not tofu housing. This is state-of-the-art, modern housing in China. If you believe in a future for your country, do you bring in, like Canada, bring in 1 million immigrants a year from all over the world that diversify into their own little communities, never speaking a word of English or French for that matter, and living in their own little world. No-go zones. In a lot of countries, the refugee areas and the immigrant areas of those countries are no-go zones. The police won't even go in there because it's too dangerous. You don't have that here in China. You don't have the danger. You don't have the diversification. A lot of countries say, oh, our diversification makes us stronger. No, it separates your communities into little pockets of different ethnic backgrounds. Some integrate, but the majority don't. And so it diversifies your population base into different areas that me as a white person couldn't go, or a black person couldn't go, or an Indian person couldn't go, or somebody from South America or Mexico couldn't go. And that's a strength. I don't see it, and neither does the Chinese government. And I think because they built such a robust economy and such a very strong world here in China, you can see that it's obviously working for them. Why? Well, because they're educated. They're hardworking. They have vision for the future. They don't allow their country to be the dropping ground for refugees from around the world. They have a goal to become a better country for their citizens, not for refugees or people from around the world. They're focused on their citizens. And I think that if more countries around the world would look out for their citizens instead of other people from around the world, well then those other countries would be safer, more prosperous, and the citizens would have a better life. Bring 1 million people a year into Canada, housing goes through the roof. Your citizens lose because now they can't afford to buy a house. Good for you. Good government, good government decisions on behalf of the Trudeau government. You know what I mean? And here in China, housing is actually getting less expensive. Food is getting less expensive. Life here is inexpensive. It really is. I'll go out and I'll go drink beer all day. I'll go eat in restaurants and stuff, and I might spend 50, 60 bucks in a day, where if I tried to do that in Canada, well, I wouldn't be able to afford it. To tell you the truth, I probably wouldn't be able to afford it. So the idea that China is running the country for the benefit of their own citizens by not allowing immigration, by not allowing refugees, by not allowing the overtaking of their society by outsiders. They've already been occupied by the Japanese, and that wasn't very much fun. They've already been taken advantage by the British in the Opium Wars, and Hong Kong was sort of annexed for 100 years. And so they've had enough of that. They've seen what that can do to a country, and they basically have the power now, the strength, the economic and military strength, because they are the biggest military in the world. Don't ever kid yourself. They've got 100 more ships than the Americans do, and it's growing at a very quick rate. The PLA has more soldiers on the ground than the United States times, I think, 2. And so they can't be bullied anymore, and they have sort of an open road ahead of them to grow their country exactly the way they want to, and it seems to be working, guys. It's not perfect, but it is China, and this is my home from now on in, and I love it here. So that basically is another video from yours truly, Gweilo 60. On the streets of Nanning, China. We're an hour and a half from the South China Sea, and we're an hour and a half from the Vietnam border, and it's 42 degrees outside, and I think Gweilo's going to go grab himself an ice cold beer. So like, comment, subscribe, and until next time, peace out. Bye now.